Becky Dean, 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Well, that was a very enlightening contribution by the member who has just resumed his seat, and he was able to tell this House Labor's housing policy, which is going to magic houses into being. They have an aspirational target of 10,000 houses a year over 10 years, so they're going to magic 100,000 houses in New Zealand. So let's just think about that, because magicking houses just by saying you're going to do it isn't actually achieving the building of those houses. So the member who just resumed his speech says it's going to happen, but he resumed his seat. Thank you. Said it's going to happen, but he didn't say how. And I can tell the House why he didn't say how, because he simply doesn't know. Doesn't have a clue. Sounds good. Sounds like a great soundbite, like all the rest of the hyperbole we're getting from across the House from a more and more desperate opposition as they see their support ebbing away across to the Greens, New Zealand First and some other minor parties. The language is getting more and more heated and fanciful, but you can't simply magic houses into being for people who need them. So that's why today I was very pleased to read that Queenstown Lakes District Council has now become part of the Housing Accord legislation. Now that is a piece of work undertaken by the Honourable Nick Smith, which, far from just magicking houses into being, is making some pretty critical steps amongst many others into making houses happen. And you see, here's another thing that Labor doesn't quite understand, is that whilst the government might build social housing, it is not the government that is going to magic those 100,000 houses over the next 10 years. It's not the government that's going to do that. No, it's not. It is the developers, those people that are prepared to take a stake in New Zealand's future and provide houses. It is they who are going to be building those houses. So let's have a look at Queenstown and the region which has experienced very strong provincial growth. And my colleague might be able to help me my other colleague from Otago might be able to help me. Growth in Otago region is at around 4.5%. Growth over 4%. Growth is extremely strong in the Otago region. We are going to need houses in Queenstown as well as houses in Christchurch, Auckland, Wellington and Bay of Plenty. So it is very pleasing to see that what is actually going to make the houses get built is being put into place under the Housing Accord legislation. So what is going to be provided for in Queenstown is the fast tracking of the planning process. And the member who resumed his seat is absolutely kidding himself if he discounts, as he seems to, that the planning process and getting that right and getting that done in a timely fashion is absolutely critical to the ability for developers to be able to put their money where their mouth is and build houses for New Zealanders. The Housing Accord legislation also provides councils with consenting tools that will make those developments possible to happen. That is such good news for Queenstown. There is so much growth in the region that we need to anticipate that growth. That's something that Labor have always failed to do. Oh, woe is me, they said, we're going to fix it. Well, when will they ever acknowledge that they were a large part of the problem? Because in the 9 years they were in government, they absolutely ignored the growth in population in Auckland. So that member that resumed his seat has no credibility in this area. Mr Speaker, this is a good budget. As part of the work this government is doing is around affordable housing for New Zealanders. It is a good budget. Nick Smith is a good minister, and we are tackling this problem.
I call Brendan Horan. 5 minutes.
Examine what the government is doing
in the supplementary estimates for a once proud and burgeoning industry that is now